To me, there's three key things. It is community, beauty, and nature. I think if we connect with nature and if we produce beauty, that is something that we as humans, I think, is our biggest gift. And I'm not just talking about creating art, is speaking beauty, listening to beauty, creating beauty, opening our hearts to beauty. In community, because if we don't have like a sense of the other in ourselves, then we're lost. We cannot do it alone, and this has been proved forever. But I think if we have these three things, to me, as the kind of person I am, we have it all. We're connected with nature, understanding that we are nature. We are one with nature. And we are interacting with other human beings. And we create beauty, and we inspire by beauty. It would be a completely different world. And that, to me, is like the mission of the arts.
Episode 240. My conversation with Claudia Salguero, a Colombian-Canadian community-engaged artist based in Ottawa, where I live. Claudia is well known for her vibrant and expressive murals. They are literally all over Ottawa. And they tend to explore themes of identity, culture, and social justice. You'll hear the color and the energy in her voice. I asked Claudia to give an example of one of her projects, and she spoke about the Wisdom Mural, which is inspired by the teachings of Ottawa-based knowledge keepers. I love the way Claudia identifies three key elements of life: community, beauty, nature. I'm looking at a photograph of the Wisdom Mural, and I'd like to hear about it, the story of this particular mural, but you've done many murals around this community in Ottawa, and I'll put links in the episode notes for people to go to your website, but maybe talk to me about this project, and through the project, how you do community-based arts.
Well, this project was my biggest dream. And at one point I just said, well, I'm going to try to do it. My deepest question was, how can we connect? Is there something that as human beings bring us together, right? And we've proved so many things, and many don't work. Of course, the arts is one. Music, live concerts, like live art is a very important part of that, and we see each other when we are sharing art. But there should be something deeper, something that is like the truth, the real thing. And I went deeper and deeper in this question, and I thought it was nature. So I think, I thought, well, before religions, before politics, before races, before countries being divided, what was there that was true for everyone, and it was nature. And I think at one point we were all worshiping the sun and the moon and the water and the fertility of the earth, and then I said, well, what about creating a mural about this? But it's not my. I cannot say this. I need to prove if that is possible, that this can happen. And then I started asking the question to many different persons, and I got to these 10 knowledge keepers from around the world who live in Ottawa, from the 5 continents, including an Algonquin elder, an Inuit elder, and a Métis elder, because we are in this land, and I respect it too much, and I've learned so much from them. And I asked the question, what it means, what nature means to you and your cosmology, your roots, your ancestry. And I said, please think about it. And I told them about this idea of the mural, and one of them actually said, Claudia, you're crazy. And at the end, they were saying, wow, I apologize. I never thought you were going to do it, but the mural is there. But they were very key on this because they really went into it. They work on it. And when they were ready, we had 2 round tables that you can listen to in my website. You'll see the links to my YouTube channel where these conversations are. And they had 30 minutes to explain that to themselves. And it was incredibly beautiful because they were bringing so much knowledge, so much meaning, and so much symbology and mythology to these conversations. And it was true. So they all agree, yes, it's nature, and it means the same to all of us. And then I got inspired from these conversations created the mural, and we painted it together. They were part of this. Of course, they were consulted. I said, well, this is the concept. What do you think about it? And they said, yes, this is exactly what we've been talking about for all these months. It was through many months. It was through the pandemic. And then the mural is up there in Bank and Riverside in a high-rise building in that corner. And it talks about how we, if you can see it, you'll see in the upper right corner, you see the Milky Way. And that means that we are stardust. We come from there, right? And then we transformed and we became water. So here in this corner at the bottom, there's a human face looking up to nature in a very humble way, like acknowledging we are just part of you. We're just a drop of water, this universe. The sunflower there, if you see the center, is the planet, and it's because the knowledge keeper from India at one point said, "We are the petals of the same flower. We're petals of the same flower," and that is the connection. To me, that was the first image, clear image, and the center point of the mural. And the mural grows around that. So then you see the stem that is dry at the bottom. And that means that the transformation from a dry and really make them little parts, like destroyed stem and roots. If we think in this way, we can restore nature. We can grow and heal. And that's the meaning of that. The colors in the bottom is, of course, diversity and the passing of time and cycles of life, like all the stars and the constellation at the top talk about how the stars have been so important for all these cultures around the world for millennia, right? The stars are not just inspiration, but as this sense of orientation, meaning, cosmology, mythology, and this is all related, right, into the arts, into archetypes. So this is very deep, and that belongs to all of us too. There's also the Fibonacci spiral, right? That to me, these beautiful images in many of my murals, and it means it's like the representation of perfection and creation and evolution. That is kind of our goal, right? We hope to be perfect, and we are, right? We just need to acknowledge it and really do it. And the only element that you can identify that belongs to a culture is the medicine wheel, because we are in Algonquin land, and because of how deep it is in meaning. So it's the only thing that you can really identify as belonging to any of the cultures that were part of the inspiration of the mural. The rest is universal and belong to all of us. And all the knowledge keepers agree with this. Is way more deep, right? It was a long conversation, but this is, and the other thing is the lines that you see there, different colors, are the ways and the languages in which we communicate with each other. They're different. They intersect. They cut each other's ways, but we are here and we can communicate. It's not easy. We just need to really give space for interaction, listen to ourselves, and keep going. It's very fluid. It's very lots of meaning, and then that's my biggest accomplishment. Not just because of the size; it's a huge mural that from the 9th to the 14th floor of a building is the tallest mural in Ottawa. But I don't think I can produce a mural with a deeper meaning than this one. I think this mural tells all of what I would like to tell through my work as a community engaged muralist.
What kind of response have you had?
It was amazing. Just even before knowing how the mural was going to look, because I never knew. I applied for my grants without knowing. I asked for help through a GoFundMe campaign without not knowing. It was just me telling the story. This is what we need to talk about. This is what these knowledge keepers want to tell you. And this is what I think what we all need to hear, especially during the pandemic, that there's a way to be together. And the response was amazing. I got like thousands of dollars in this GoFundMe campaign, which I never thought of. But from people who didn't know me, there was a foundation in Europe that sent me some money because they believe in this. So somebody said to me, the thing is that you didn't made it. You were used to do this. There's something greater than you that used you for this to be told. And that was like a really, so that was one of these reactions that meant a lot to me. And there was just one person who came after the mural was installed. That happened in one day. So a person who lived in a building in front of it, it's a big guy, Canadian guy, was just very obsessed. So who's in charge here? He said, me. And then he looked at me and said, you know what, I've been trying, I like peace, I like subtle colors, I don't like violent things coming up to me. And I opened the windows this morning, I just see this mural with all these colors and I don't like it because it is like an aggression and nobody asked me for this and what is this? And then I started just telling him this story. And I told him too that the mural has 1,000 stars that you can count. They were counted. And we painted these stars at the very end of the process where the graves of the indigenous kids were found. That happened the same week. And it was so painful. So I was working with an indigenous mentee, and of course there was the grandmother Algonquin, and I called them and said, would you agree if we paint this 1,000 stars in honor of these kids? And they said yes. So we painted them. Then I told this story to this person. And he started crying like a little kid. He cried and cried and cried and cried.
I'm crying.
He cried. Don't cry, please. He cried, but he was crying like a little boy. And then he sat down on the floor and said, I'm going to tell you, he said, my wife committed suicide 7 or 8 years ago. And it's been so painful to me that I've been going through all of this. In my house, there's no colors because I can't stand anything. I'm super sensitive to anything that I don't produce, etc. But then he looked up and he saw the stars and he said, now I know where my wife is. And that was the end of the conversation. And he was as grateful as he could be. And we communicated once after and he was okay. And he said, you're part of my journey. And this is what art does.
Mm-hmm. What kind of art do you think do we need in times like this?
So I always say that I'm an interpreter of the other person's voices, especially communities or people who don't have the voice, local low-income communities, immigrants, refugees, women that have gone through violence in so many ways, or kids that are like in trouble, like youth. And I think the most important mission I have is to listen to them and to keep doing what I do, which is paint a mural where they can see themselves and they can keep telling the story, and the story is still there. So these murals are not just a pretty image. They are sometimes they are not really the most beautiful mural in the world, but it doesn't matter. The important part of this community mural creations is not the mural itself is all that happens around it, or before or behind the mural. So the conversations I heard while we were painting, because I don't paint like with spray paints, because it would be like a 2 days project. I spend 1 or 2 weeks working with the community for the whole day. So it's like a 70 hours, 50 hours working with one community. And then I see the interactions with the community. I engage them in conversations. I ask questions and I keep the conversation going about what we're painting. That was something they said, or something else, because things happen while you're creating art, and when you have a brush in your hand, nobody's judging you, because the idea is that you don't have to be an artist. You just come and I'll help you, I'll guide you, I'll teach you, don't worry, just have fun, just come here and relax and interact with your neighbors or with people from your community that sometimes you have issues with, and things just flow in an incredible way.
What do you recommend people, artists, cultural workers, citizens do in these difficult times? Or do you have suggestions, points of action for them to get further engaged through art?
I think as artists, if they are community engaged artists, I think they're doing it. We just need to keep listening and putting ourselves in other person's shoes and try to understand why they think, what they do, because that's the only way we can talk. So I think if in general, not just artists, but everyone, we need to learn to listen, to understand why somebody think the way they think, because it's not for free. You have reasons to be who you are and to act in the way you act. So I think that would be important. And then when you learn to listen and you help people to express that, You are just giving this person to opportunity to heal and yourself opportunity to understand. And by you doing it, you're helping the process in all directions in other people.